Namaste and good morning, everyone. We'll start our class with the prayers. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now we'll chant Mahamrityunjaya mantra 3 times to pray for those who are in suffering. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Vandhana Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhana Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhana Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone. Today is a special day. Today is Ganesh Chaturthi, considered the birthday of Lord Ganesha. Lord Ganesha is a deity who is first worshipped in any ceremony. He is considered the removal of obstacles. So today in India, many people celebrate this festival called Ganesh Chaturthi. So today happens to be that day. Very auspicious, considered a very auspicious day. Incidentally, Lord Ganesha is the one who wrote Mahabharata, who was a scribe. So Vyasadeva was considered the author, and Lord Ganesha is the one who wrote Mahabharata. So the story is very interesting. It's like this. When Vyasadeva had this desire to write this scripture, he thought of the whole thing. There were 100,000 verses, 100,000 verses, 100,000 verses. So it's a huge scripture. And there were no speech-to-text recognition technology in those days. So he could not just speak and get it typed on the computer. So he had everything in his mind, but he did not have the time to put it in writing. So many people requested him that please write this scripture for the benefit of mankind. And he agreed, but he said, I need a scribe who can write as I speak. And somebody suggested to him that you should pray to Lord Ganesha. If he agrees, he can do the task. So he prayed to Lord Ganesha. Lord Ganesha appears and says, okay, what is it that you want? And he said, I have this scripture in my mind and I want to put it on paper in writing. If you could kindly agree to write it as I speak. So Lord Ganesha said, that's not a problem. I can write as you speak. The speed is not a problem. You can continuously speak and I'll write. But I have one condition. And the condition is that you have to constantly speak. You cannot stop even for a minute. if you stop, that's where I'll stop, and then I'll continue no further. And Vyasadeva agreed to this condition, but he said, I also have one condition. And Ganesh asked what? He said that you will only write after you understand what I'm saying. So I'm speaking, but you have to write with the understanding. And Lord Ganesha agreed to that condition. So Vyasadeva had to speak constantly in order for Lord Ganesha to write, and Lord Ganesha have to take pause if he did not understand the shloka immediately, which Vyasadeva is reciting. So when Vyasadeva was sort of out of his breath, he needed some time to think. He would speak a verse which was kind of very difficult. So it will take some time for Lord Ganesha to understand. In that time, he will think of further verses and then dictate. So that's how the Mahabharata was written. So it's an interesting story. Gita happens to be a part of Mahabharata, as you know. So even this Gita, the first scribe of this Gita Shastra was Lord Ganesha. So with this tidbit, we'll continue with our study of Gita. So today we'll do this verse number 213. So I'll chant it and you repeat after me in your place. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptihi dhirastatra namuyati. Now the whole verse together. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptihi dhirastatra namuyati. We look at the analysis of this verse. As you can see, this is an Anushtup meter, means 8 syllables in each quartet. Dehina is a nominal. Asmin is a pronoun. Yatha is indeclinable. Dehe is nominal. Kaumaram is nominal. Yauvanam is nominal. Jara is nominal. Tatha is indeclinable. Dehantar prapti is nominal. Dhiraha is nominal. Tatra is indeclinable. Na is indeclinable. Muyati is verb. So as you can see, there is one verb, but then there are other verbs also which are implied, and we'll discuss those. So Dehinaha, that is a 6th case, genitive case. Singular, gender is masculine. The base word here is Dehin. Dehin. It ends in nakara before ikara, so it ends it in. And generally the meaning for these kind of nouns which end in means who possess that thing or who has that thing. So Deha refers to body, so one who has body. one who has body, or in other words, that is soul. So that is dehin. Asmin, it's a locative case, singular, masculine, and here the base word is idam. So it's a pronoun. This idam becomes asmin, meaning this. With the locative, it will become in this. Yatha, it's an indeclinable, just as. Dehe, this is also locative, singular, masculine, and deha is the base word, body. So deha means body. Kaumaram, this is nominative, singular, neuter, and here the base word is kaumara, same as vanam, vane, vanani, vana, kaumara. It's an akaranta neuter noun. Kaumara means childhood. Yavanam, so nominative, singular, neuter, yavana means youth. Jara, it's nominative, singular, feminine, this word, and the base word is the same as jara, old age. Tatha means so also. This is the indeclinable. Dehantara praptihi, this is nominative, singular, feminine, and this is dehantar prapti, that is the base word. So this this is an interesting word. It's made of two words, dehantara and praptihi. It's a compound word. Dehantara itself is also a compound. So normally dehantara would mean another body, and praptihi means gaining of another body. So dehantara praptihi total means gain. So prapti means gain, dehantara, deha means body, antara means another, anya deha praptihi, and dehanta praptihi means gaining of another body. So gain of another body. Dhiraha, it's a nominative, singular, masculine, so this would be wise person, stable. Dhira is used in that sense. Tatra is indeclinable, so it means there or in that. Na means not. Moyati, this is the verb. It's a present tense, third person. singular. Verb type is parasmaipadi. And the root is mohu. Be confused or deluded. So since it's a present tense, it means is confused. It's a third person, that means he or she or it is confused. So that is the word meaning. So it's a pretty simple and straightforward. But the meaning is pretty amazing. So one who has the body, dehina. If you look at from the previous verse, where Lord is saying that it's never that I was not there when I was not there, or you were not there, or these kings were not there, nor is it that we shall not be in the future. So he is expanding upon that statement. What does it mean? And also in the previous one, 2:11, he said that the wise people do not grieve in the matters of somebody having left the body or somebody still living. So why do they not grieve? What do wise ones know that they do not find the cause for grief even in the death? So that is the theme he is expanding upon here. So he is saying, just as yatha, if you look at this seventh locative, this is adjective and noun, asmin dehe, in this body. So referring to body means either his body or Arjuna's body. In this body, just as Kaumaram, childhood is there, Yauvanam, youthful stage is there, and old age is there. So in this body, these stages are there. So these stages are for the body, but the body itself cannot know these states, because one who is beyond the body, he knows these states of the body, and that is what is referred to as dehina here. Dehi, dehin, one who has the body or the self or the soul. So for the soul, these are the various states of the body which soul is aware of. So just as in this body there is childhood, youth, and old age, so also, so just like there are these three states, so also there is gain of another body. So for the self, for the soul, the state of gaining another body is just like another change of the state, as it is for like childhood, youth, or old age within this body. So knowing this, the wise ones, the ones who are stable, who do not get perturbed So in that matter, there means in that matter, in that thing, in that like gaining of another body, or which basically we call death or rebirth. They do not get deluded. They do not feel the cause for confusion or sorrow. So that's what it would mean. So just as this body has these, one perceives these states of the body, one also understands that there is another state which is gain of another body, and there in that matter one is not deluded. So here the question is, somebody who is separate from the body would be able to perceive it that way. But I do not, normally I may perceive myself as child, as young person, as an old person. I do not see that as generally separate from me. But that is not true. If we have a little discrimination, we realize that when you talk of your childhood, you say, I did this. And you know it is the same person who you are referring as I, it is still the same person who you are as an old or young person. So that sense of I, that I am the same, that remains constantly with us. That does not change. It is just the state of the body changes. One can, in that sense, one can perceive the childhood, that I was in a state of child, yet I am the same. I was in the state of youthfulness, and that state has passed, but I am the same. I am now in the state of old age, yet I am the same. That's why people can remember their hurts from year old, that you did this to me. If you look at from the perspective of the body has changed. So the one that thing was done to, that body does no longer exist. So person cannot say that you did this to me. But we all have these notions that 20 years ago you did this to me. Now in 20 years the body has completely changed. So that me cannot be complaining, this body, if I were the body only, then there would be no cause for the complaint for an incident which happened so long ago. Yet I find, because I perceive that there is something which is not changing. So from that perspective, if you look at, a little bit discrimination tells me that I am the same person as the body states are changing. So wise ones understand it a little bit further. They understand that the dropping of the body at the time of death and gaining of another body, as in the next life, also is just another change. And this change, which we call normally from the perspective of childhood, youthfulness, old age, even though these are the generally major states we consider, but body is changing every day. Every single moment, this body is changing. If you talk from the perspective of medical science, in 7 years, all the cells of the body, they are regenerated. So when you say of, if you truly are only the body, you could not say anything 7 years ago, because that body is completely changed. There is nothing remaining of that body anymore. Yet I recognize things that 7 years ago I still recognize it was me. So body is changing every single moment. Every moment, millions of cells are dying and new cells are born. But when those changes consolidate into something that we can recognize easily, we name them as childhood, youth, or old age. So similarly, there is another change where this body drops dead and another body is gained. That change is also just like this change. The one who was constant, one who did not change through the changes of the body, that entity, what we call soul or self, remains the same even when this body dies. So wise ones know that very clearly and they do not have any cause for the confusion. So from a Sanskrit perspective, I just wanted to point out this thing that santi is the implied verb here. So there are these sentences. Just as boyhood or childhood, youth and old age are, so is another body. And then, so essentially there are like 3 sentences, but from the perspective of the verb, even though it's only one verb form which appears in this verse, other 2 are implied. So then we go to the next verse. We'll chant this verse. So I'll chant it and you repeat after me. Matra sparshastu kaunteya शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदाः आगमापायिनो नित्याः तांस्ति तिक्षस्व भारत. Now the whole verse together. Matra sparshastu kaunteya शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदाः आगमापायिनो नित्याः तांस्ति तिक्षस्व भारत. This is a nominative case, plural. Gender is masculine. And the base word here is matra sparsha. Matra sparsha. Matra, it is coming from ma, root word ma, miyate, measure, to measure. So by which one measures, that is called matra. So this refers to the sense organs because we perceive the whole world through the 5 sense organs. And essentially we measure everything through these 5 sense organs. So these are called matra. And sparsha is touch or contact. So the contact with the sense organs. So these are the sense objects. Sense objects are the ones which as if touch the sense organs or come in contact with the sense organs. So coming in contact is not necessarily physically touching, because depending upon the sense organ. So for eyes, I can see the things from a distance. What is touching there, what is coming in the contact, if you look at from a physical perspective, the light reflected from the object hitting my eyes. So in that sense, there is a contact. For the touch, there has to be physical contact with the skin of the sense object. Similarly, with the ears, some contact of the sound waves coming into the ears. Nose, the molecules of the smell of the sense object has to enter the nostrils. Touch, taste something physically, again, has to come in the contact with the tongue. So that's what matra, sparsha, the contact of the sense organs with the sense objects. So contact of sense organs with objects. Two, this is indeclinable. So let us just fill this out first. This is indeclinable. This is nominal. Konteya. This is nominal. This is nominal. This is nominal. This is nominal pronoun. Titikshasva is a verb. Bharata is nominal. So this is two. It means indeed or for emphasis. It is also used for emphasis. Kaunteya. This is a nominative. Sorry, this is a vocative. It's an address. It's telling that, O Kaunteya, singular. Gender is masculine. Base word here is the same as Kaunteya. And this is the name of Arjuna. So this is coming from the word Kunti. Kunti was the name of mother of Arjuna. And Kaunteya means the son of Kunti. So here when Lord is calling Arjuna, O Kaunteya, he is referring to basically his mother's side of greatness, that O son of Kunti. In Bhagavad-Gita, the name of Arjuna from mother's side, which is Kaunteya and Partha, have occurred much more frequently than from the father's side, which is Pandava. Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhada. This is nominative, plural, masculine. The base word is the, so it's like Ramaha, and this is giver of heat, cold, pleasure, and pain. So this is a compound word, as you can see, made of 4 different words first and the. So Shita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukkha, and the. So first let us see what are the meanings of these individual words. So Shita means cold, Ushna means hot, Sukha means pleasure, Dukkha means pain or happiness or unhappiness. So these are the 4 words. Shita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukkha. Cold, Shita is cold, Ushna is hot, Sukha is pleasure, Dukkha is pain. And the is for, it's a compound word which gets combined with this, means one which gives. So the giver of. So giver of all these things. Giver of heat, cold, pleasure and pain. So that's how it comes. Agama painaha. This is also nominative plural masculine. And here again it is like agama pain. So this is similar to what we saw previously, dehin. It's that kind of base word, agama pain. So this is also a compound word. Agama. So the way it is made up is agama and apain. So this would be, sorry, this would be also it will be like this, agama pain. So agama and apain. So agama means one which comes. So gam dhatu, gam means to go, agama means which comes. And apai, it's also coming from I dhatu. I means to go, up means away from, so goes away. So one which comes and one which goes away from. So one which comes and goes. That's what means the together. So something which is of the nature of coming and going. Agama is an interesting word. It's also used for the scripture. So one which is comes, like one which is not created by the human intellect, but one which is revealed. So agama is a word which is also used for scriptures. And apai means the depart. So they go away. So they depart away. They move away from. So you can say of the nature of coming and going. Anityaha. This is also nominative plural. Masculine. And here the base word is anitya, means impermanent. So nitya is permanent. With the it becomes a negative compound. So becomes impermanent. Tan, accusative plural masculine. Tad, this is the base word. It's a pronoun. So it means them. Titikshaswa, this is a verb form. It's a lot lakara. Second person, singular. Verb here is atmanepadi. And root here is titiksha. So this is an interesting root. Titiksha means to endure. So if you check this root in the Sanskrit root, like books of all the roots, you will probably not find it. The reason is that this root is itself is a derived root. So what we call derived verbs. So tij is a verb, tij is a root, and if it is used in the sense of desire, there is a suffix which is added to it. It becomes a desiderative, and that's how it means it comes tetiksha. So in our Sanskrit class, we haven't quite studied this yet. If time permits, we will see some of that. Bharata, this is vocative, singular, masculine. It's the same word, Bharata. Meaning is another. This is another name of Arjuna. So this has come earlier also. As I told you, Bharata, there was a king who named Bharata earlier in the lineage of this clan, and based upon his name, other people are also addressed as Bharata. Even the name of the country India, which is actually Bharata, is supposed to be on the name of that king. His name was Bharata. So as per Sanskrit rules, the people born in the lineage of Bharata are called Bharata. So Lord Krishna is addressing Arjuna here as O Bharata. So if you look at here, we have only one verb that tells that sentence would be only one. But then there is a one implied verb, santi. And so this is what it is here, that contact of sense organs with sense objects. So this is nominative plural, as you can see, masculine. And if you see this one, nominative plural masculine, nominative plural masculine, nominative plural masculine. So these all four words, they are used in the sense of subject. They are adjectives and noun relationship here. So if once you understand in this fashion, it becomes very easy to understand the meaning of the verse, even though it may be consisting of many words. So if you look, we look at these four words today. First, we look at these four words. Matra sparsha. This is the contact of sense organs with the objects. What is the nature? The nature of it is giver of heat, cold, pleasure, and pain. That's how they are. The contact of sense organs with sense objects, they are giver of heat and cold, pleasure, and pain. They are also of the nature of coming and going and impermanent. So this all tells about this thing. And this one is saying, O Arjuna, O Kaunteya, emphasizing this part that this is how they are. So this essentially becomes one sentence up to here with the santi. So the santi is, as I said, this verb can be implied. So here it is implied. So these are the nature. This is the nature of the sense organs, contact of sense organs with the objects. So they are giver of heat and cold, pleasure and pain. So here Lord is telling something that, okay, Arjuna's question may have been that wise people understand that just like the body passes through the stage of childhood, youth, old age, similarly gaining of another body, but while living in this body, there are still other causes for sorrow. So Lord is addressing that part here, that one of the thing is that sense organs come in the contact with the sense objects. When you are living in the world, that's what will happen, because we have these sense organs and we all around us there are sense objects. So this is a natural thing, this is bound to happen, that sense objects will come into contact with the sense organs. And this contact itself is of the giver of heat and cold, pleasure and pain. This is just the nature of the things as they are. Once you understand that, we always desire that always the pleasurable situation should, the favorable situation should be there for us. Painful situation or unfavorable situation should not come to us. But that's not how it is. Once you understand that that's how the nature of the things are, that the heat and cold here means the pair of opposites. So pleasure and sometimes it could be favorable, sometimes it could be unfavorable. Any contact of the sense organs with the objects. It's just that the nature of the contact of sense organs with the objects is. That's what he's emphasizing. And another aspect of this contact is that they come and go. No favorable or unfavorable situation remains permanent. It comes at a certain point of time and it goes at a certain point of time. They are impermanent in nature. Because of that, you understand this nature very clearly. Most of our problems arise from the fact that we refuse to accept this aspect of the natural way of the things. It's neither good or bad. It is just how the nature of the things is. And wise person understands this very clearly. So he is telling Arjuna that please understand this aspect, that that's how it is. And then he is telling that Tan titikshasva Bharata, O Bharata, O Arjuna, you endure them. Do not get too disturbed by them, because that's how it is. They will come, and the way you can endure and not get disturbed, to understand this aspect, that even though they will produce the favorable and unfavorable situation, they are not permanent. They are of the nature of coming and going. So because they are not permanent, one can have the composure of the mind and say, okay, this has come, this will also go. It is not going to remain permanent. So wise people do not get perturbed by the happenings, because they understand that these changes, this sense organs to sense objects contact, is impermanent in nature. This is anyway our own experience as well. So here, if you look at the beauty of the teachings of the Lord, that he just doesn't say that you just endure, just that's, he actually tells, look, this is how the nature of the things is. It's not that you can change them. Even if you change a certain situation, it will not be a permanent situation. It will not remain permanent, because there is no permanence inherent in these things. So yes, if you want to change, you can change, but still you have to understand that this is not permanent. Whatever you want to have the change for. When you keep your mind in the impermanent, then mind will be disturbed. But when you keep your mind in the permanent, and what is the permanent? He already told in verse 12 and 13. Dehinaha, the one who has this body, the soul. Soul perceives all these states of change of the body, but itself remains unchanged. Itself is permanent. Similarly, once you understand that these are impermanent, it's the natural thing that you just endure them, because they are of the nature of coming and going. They are not going to remain permanent. If I understand the permanent aspect of that what is actually real and permanent, then the one which is temporary will not disturb me, because the unchanging remains unchanged. The changing will always keep changing. So you endure them. So that's what Lord's teaching to Arjuna here is. So you see how Lord is building up from the same theme, that do not grieve, because the wise people do not grieve. They do not find any cause for sorrow. The same theme he is continuing, explaining that why it is so. Why wise people do not have a cause for grief. And that's what you see slowly he is explaining in verse 12, 13 and 14. So with this, I'll open it for the questions, if you have any questions. So you can ask any questions if you have here in the chat window. This word matra, there's a question, please explain the word matra. Nothing to do with mother. So we did have a declension in our Sanskrit class, which is matra. Matru was the base word, and matra came there, and that means that was the word for mother. So this one is a different word. This comes from madhatu, means to measure. So this one, even though the form is the similar, but it has completely different meaning. So if you look at here, I'll just show you for the nominal declensions that where this word is matra is. So it is here, mata. So mata, matarau, matru, mother, matra. But this is not the word matra here in this verse. In this verse, matra is coming from a different root, even though the form is similar or same, but it has completely different meaning. So there is a comment here from Adriana and Ashish Baba. Thank you for your appreciation. There is a, could you please scroll down to English translation to 14? So, 1 second. So 214 is here, and you can note down the translation, but I'll also post the file, and that way you can have it at your end, and you don't have to note down right now. So I'll be posting this file into the repository. So any of you, if you feel that this format or some content needs any change, please feel free to give the feedback to us if you feel that there should be any changes to this format. But otherwise we will continue like this. It's a part of our Sanskrit course, but as well as it is for the general, that anybody who is interested in Gita can attend these classes. So if you have any more questions, please ask. And okay, so there is a question, is atra sparsha? No, it's not atra sparsha. It's like, it's a matra sparsha. Matra means by the sense organs, sparsha the contact. So there is a comment here or question. Dehina is also first and second vibhakti plural. So Dehinaha. So yes, it is the second and first and second plural also is Dehina. That is correct. But here the sense is of the genitive. So the way this declensions go, four forms are of the same. They are identical, and based upon the context, you have to pick up the right case and number. So there is a question: is Mahabharata also the story about ancient India? Yes, Mahabharata literally means the great story of this clan of Bharata. So this describes a great war between the two, in the same clan, between the two sets of cousins. And in that war, practically all the kings of India took part. And it is considered one of the best source to learn the ancient spiritual heritage of India. So Mahabharata, yes, it is a very important source. There is one person who is saying he joined the class 10 minutes ago, but will watch the video soon. Yes, please do so. There is a question: can you point out the sandhis in verse 14? So 14 verse is this. And if you look at sandhi here, matra sparshatu, so that becomes matra sparshastu, because the visarga followed by takara becomes sakara. And then another sandhi here is agama paino nityaha. So this is the visarga preceded by akara, shorta, and also followed by akara, shorta. So it becomes avagra. Agama paino, it becomes, so o and avagra. So that's how it becomes. So these are the sandhi rules for those who have studied Sanskrit. Sorry. So these are the sandhi rules. You can check and you will see that visarga is preceded by ya and followed by ya, visarga is dropped. And the sequence is changed to o and I is elided, avagra, it checks the avagra. So and then tan and titiksha, so there is another sandhi, and this is a sandhi which is a consonant sandhi, that nakara, when it is followed by takara, there is it becomes anuswara, and another sakara is inserted in between. So it becomes tans titiksha bharat. So like that, these are the only sandhi in this verse. There is a question: what size was Bharata at the time of Gita? Generally, it is of course very definitively, it's very difficult to say that what was the size, but it is said from the whole Himalayas to the ocean. That is generally how it is described, the size of Bharata in the scriptures. So there is clearly a mention of Gandhar kingdom, which is today's Afghanistan. So that was definitely a part, because that was a kingdom where Gandhari came from, wife of Dhritarashtra. So exactly, but generally it is said that the Himalayas was the northern border, the whole Himalayas, and the ocean was the southern border for India. So there is a question: heat and cold are the perceptions, while pleasure and pain are the feelings of the perceptions. Is that how we should understand it? Yes, that's a good point. So heat and cold are perceptions, and sometimes they could be pleasurable and sometimes they could be painful. And that's how it is with the other. So heat and cold is, as I said, it is just a representation of all the other sense perceptions which happen as a result of contact of the sense organs with the objects. So when you talk of the tongue, it will be sweet and bitter, sweet and sour, we say in our language. So similarly for the sound, it could be loud or light or that way. So, but and they could vary in the feeling of pleasure and pain, but the sense of pleasure and pain, that is fairly constant. So heat and cold, they themselves would be pleasurable or painful, but sense of pleasure, whether it's favorable or unfavorable, the situation may change, but that sense that I am having this favorable or unfavorable, that will be there. So yes, that is one way to understand. So there is a suggestion here, can the meaning column moved before the case column? So the reason I put the meaning column here before, after the case, so you can understand the meaning from the grammatical understanding of the word, and therefore once you understand the case and number and gender, you see the meaning. But we can also move it in the first place if that's what would make more sense. There is a question, are matra sparsha called vishaya? No, it is not vishaya, it is the contact of vishaya. Vishaya is the sense object, and matra is refers to the sense organs. So matra sparshas, basically the contact of sense organs with the objects. Vishaya is simply refers to the sense objects. There is a comment, I missed 2 class, I feel I am behind. Please feel free to cover it. There we have all the videos and the Excel file on the repository. So always you can watch those videos and bring yourself up to speed. Okay, so with this, there are no more questions. We'll close the class with the prayers. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you everyone.